Hi, it's Nick from Match Property Estate Agents. Welcome to what's happening in the North Devon property market right now. In this video, I'm going to be covering the fundamentals of the market at the moment and how coronavirus and the restrictions are affecting the market in North Devon as a whole. So let's go back a few weeks now, back to the beginning of March. What a difference a few weeks makes. The budget was announced earlier in March and it was eagerly awaited because it was felt that that budget would be the stimulus that was needed after months and years of Brexit dominating the markets, to create a fresh stimulus to move the market forward. And on the same morning, the Bank of England reduced interest rates down to 0.25%. So the interest rate drop on its own will stimulate the market in many ways. Buyers currently looking to buy and borrow in order to do that will find it much easier, much more affordable to access that funding. And secondly, those that are already on mortgages, that already have mortgages, especially those that are on tracker rate mortgages, will find the cost of those mortgages will go down almost immediately, and that will put more money directly back into their pockets and bank accounts. In addition to that, the rates are so low at the moment that it's encouraging people not to save their money in banks. Basically, the government wants us to go out and spend that money, invest in the housing market and other areas to stimulate the economy further. Despite being widely anticipated, there weren't any substantial changes to stamp duty rates. There were some changes that affect overseas buyers, but it's not expected that these are going to have much of an impact in the local North Devon market. The big sort of ticket item with regards to the budget was the huge spending plans that the government has, largely as a result of trying to counteract the impact of Brexit, which we've all pretty much forgotten about at the moment, and encourage more prosperity and investment into the UK. So far so good. The market fundamentals seem to be in place. Pre-corona, from January right through to the middle of March, lots of local agents, including ourselves, were experiencing a much busier, much more productive market. The viewings were up, offers were up, sales transactions were up across price ranges and property styles. And we were coming into the spring with a really strong headwind of activity behind us, largely as a result of the stimulus that we've just been talking about with regards to the budget. The underlying fundamentals of the marketplace at the moment are still very, very strong. What's changed is people's ability to access the market the way that they were pre-coronavirus and pre-restrictions that we're seeing at the moment. Now that is going to obviously have a substantial impact on the market itself, and there are still lots and lots of things that can be done during this time to make sure that activity continues. So the market is going to look very much like a V shape or a heartbeat. So what the expectation is obviously there will be a sharp drop in activity levels and in transactions because of the restrictions that are in place currently, but it should be quite short-lived. And we may see that sort of heartbeat jump where the market recovers up and beyond the level that it was before and then comes back down and sort of levels off back to sort of a more normal market, if you like. The important thing really during this period is that we all heed the advice of the government and stick to the instructions that we're being given, so that we reduce the amount of time that we need to be in this sort of lockdown and restricted activity period, and then things can return to normal as much as they can do or will do as quickly as possible once the need to be restricted has been lifted, hopefully very, very soon. So one of the key things that people are asking us at the moment is what we think this is going to do to house prices. And this is quite debatable at the moment. There's lots and lots of different schools of thought. The overall kind of picture is probably that things will balance out over time anyway. So we're going to see Some properties in some areas and some types of properties perhaps drop in price by 5 to 10% is a lot of the figures that are coming out at the moment. But equally there are reports where properties in some areas and certain types of properties will go up by 5 or 10% because of the demand that's out there and the lack of supply. So on balance, we think that probably there is going to be an overall kind of levelling off market itself. What's going to change? Well, the market is basically split into two broad categories. So you've got those buyers that will move or buy if the conditions are right, and there are those buyers that have to move regardless, or buy regardless of the conditions. And those two groups will behave very differently during this period. So one thing that will stay constant during this period of time is the need for people to have a home. People will still need to live somewhere, whether that's renting or buying, and that is going to remain relatively constant. What's more likely to change is those buyers in that first group are likely to reduce their activity because the conditions are not right. It's the second group, those buyers that need to move, that are still going to be extremely active during this period of time. Rightmove have put out some webinars and some video with discussions with some of their analysts about the activity on Rightmove at the moment. And one of the biggest overriding thing that they're saying is that there are still millions and millions of searches going on Rightmove, which is the UK's biggest portal. And there's thousands and thousands of emails and inquiries going through to agents on a daily basis. So we're seeing that as well. We're still getting emails via Rightmove for people inquiring about properties. We're getting phone calls with people inquiring about properties. We're getting messages via social media. We're getting lots and lots of activity. It's not as it was before perhaps, but there's still plenty of activity going on in the marketplace at the moment. And that will eventually move into a phase when the restrictions are lifted of proper market activity, viewings, offers, transactions. So in the next video, we're going to be covering the government restrictions, what you can and can't do at the moment, what your agent and solicitor can and can't do at the moment, and also the workarounds on those areas that can still keep things moving. There's loads and loads of things you can still do. Please remember that we are still, regardless of the lockdown and the restrictions at the moment, we are still right in the middle of North Devon's busiest period, which is the spring and Easter market. So there's lots and lots of opportunity out there, and people, as I said before, are still looking, and there's still activity there. So I hope you found all of this useful. If there's any questions or queries, please drop them in the comments section below. We'll answer those for you. If you need to get in touch direct with us, you can send us a direct message, or you can contact myself direct, which is, my email is nick, spelled N-I-C, @matchproperty.co.uk. And if you think this will be of use to anybody else, please share the video on your social media. And if you've got people who aren't on social media and you think they would benefit from it, get them or to contact us, or for you to provide their details so we can email a link to the video so they can watch it elsewhere and still benefit from all of the information. So hopefully we'll see you in the next video. It's going to be a good one, lots of interesting tips and ideas, so don't miss it.